everyone, you're welcome to the NPIK YouTube channel. Today we're going to be discussing causes of Canadian study permit refusals. Why do people get refused? So it's like walking back from the answer. If you know why people get refused, your application would not be refused. So we'll be telling and sharing with you 5 common reasons for refusal. Everybody here has a point to share based on their vast experience in handling study permit applications. So let's start now on things that causes the refusal. This will be a good time for you to like our page, subscribe to this channel, because we'll be sharing educative content that will help you in your study abroad process. So first reason, the most common reason for study permit refusals is insufficient or adequate funds. In fact, over 70% of refused applications come back with that first reason: insufficient funds. Now, it could be explained in a lot of ways, but the common reason is insufficient funds. How much funds do I need to prove that I have for a Canadian study permit application? I need to prove that I have the tuition for the first year, not for the first year, not for the whole duration, for the first year, and the living expenses for the first year. The living expenses is 20,635 Canadian dollars per year. So I need to prove that I have this, or my sponsor has this. Now, please note that lump sums would not be accepted. For example, I need to submit a 4-month bank statement, and in the statement I'm showing maybe at the last month that I just put in the required funds. Maybe I just put in 50 million. No way, that will not work. Even if I was the consular, if you were the consular, you would likely not grant the visa. So it is needed to convince them that the funds is available. A way around that is using the GIC certificate. The GIC certificate means I open an account in Canada. If you need help on the GIC, NPIK is here to help you on getting your GIC certificate, opening an account for you in Canada and putting the funds there. That will readily convince the consular that you have the funds at your disposal. Another way around it is giving a statement that shows that the funds has been readily available long before the application. And then also, applicants need to show the source of the income, the source of the funds. If there's any doubt in the source of the income, the consular might still not be convinced and come up with the funds is considered insufficient. So that is the first point we'll be looking at. Next point we'll be looking at will be discussed by Mrs. Ebolu Akinshola. She'll be telling us possible reasons, other reasons why the Canadian study permit application could be refused. So, Mrs. Ebu, can you please give us another reason why study applications could be refused?
Yes, another common reason for visa refusals is lack of ties to the home country. To avoid visa refusal, you have to satisfy the immigration officer that you have a very strong tie in your home country. And to prove this is, number 1, your work. You must have a stable work with a traceable income. If you have a work and a traceable income, this will suffice for you to show that yes, you have a very strong home tie to your country, which will make you return to your home country after your studies in Canada. Another one is your family ties. How close are you to your family? And this can be proven with documents, maybe birth certificates, pictures, and communications with your family members wherever they are. Communication or distance is not a barrier to communication. So if you have very good relationship with your family members, you can prove this by showing pictures, documents, and other write-ups that can actually prove that you have a very strong home tie to your country, alongside documents proving that you have a stable work and a traceable income.
I need to ask, how do you show traceable income? Because you said you should be able to show traceable income. What do you mean by that?
To show a traceable income, you have to provide your pay slips. At least 4 months pay slip should suffice, alongside your bank statement. With this, you should be able to convince the officers that okay, my salary is consistent and I have a very stable work. Alongside that, you can show your document, your employment documents, like your offer letter, your study leave letter. This letter is a very important requirement in order for you to avoid being refused. This is because it will show that, okay, your place of work has given you a study leave for a period of years or months that you are going to study, and after your study you would come back to your own country, even to better that place of work with the knowledge that you have gathered.
Okay, so we've discussed insufficient funds as a reason for refusal. We've also discussed lack of home ties. Thank you for that. So now, what other reasons can cause refusals? Mr. Michael, would you help us on that?
Another major reason that causes refusal of study permits is weak or absent letter of explanation. Now, a letter of explanation is basically a supporting document written by the applicants to explain major things about the application, and it should consist of very key details. The introduction, you telling the consular why you are choosing Canada, why you've chosen the course you've chosen, and what you intend to achieve with that course. These are some of the very key details that must be included in the letter of explanation. Also, personal details of your family, how your ties with your family, and how these ties maybe have forged your values, your mindset. These things should be reflected in your letter of explanation. Also, in the letter of explanation, you should include things like what you intend to achieve in your own country and perhaps in your place of work with the knowledge you'll be acquiring in a country like Canada and in the university that you have chosen. These are key things that must be included in your letter of explanation. Also, your academic background, your professional experience, where you work, what you do at your place of work. These things should also be included. All this information together will further substantiate your application and the documents you will be submitting. So your letter of explanation is also very, very relevant, and it should cover these major areas that I've listed.
Okay, yes, so thank you for that. Are there other things to include in the letter of explanation so that people can avoid being refused? Are there other details that should be added in the explanation letter?
Of course, there are other details that needs to be added in the letter of explanation. This is why people will require experts like MPIK to handle some of these application processes. There are things like very key, like you've mentioned earlier, ma'am, they need the funds. One of the key reasons why permits are refused is because of insufficient funds. So in the letter of explanation, you should be able to give explanation of maybe some of your funds, and you should include very key details about the funding and maybe how the funds are available to you, and certain required documents should be attached to the letter of explanation.
Thank you for that. So we should explain the source of funds in the letter and attach relevant documents as to the source of funds. So bank statements, pay slips like she mentioned, and all that. Thank you so much. So having mentioned those 3 points about funds, about home ties, about detailed explanation, what other reasons? Miss Mary, can you please help us and give us further reasons why the permit could be refused?
Just like everybody has said before, I'd like to add that another reasons why Canada study permits are denied is school not validating student admission letter. As of December 1st, 2023, there was a new policy where every student has a letter of acceptance that must be gotten from a designated learning center, and also a policy on PAL, provincial attestation letter. Every student has to provide all of these documents to the consular while the documents are being reviewed. These documents must be present. Also, it's not enough for the document to be uploaded by the students. The designated learning center also has to validate the document that was uploaded by the students. Sometimes some people, when they use a work travel agent, they get to upload documents that are false documents. So when the documents are being verified by the consular, they find out that the document that was uploaded was a wrong one. When a travel agency like MPIK handle your application, you'll be sure that documents that are uploaded are real documents and not fake documents, because the designated learning center has to check and to validate that the documents uploaded are real documents. Once these documents are validated and they are sure that the documents that are uploaded are real documents, the student has nothing to worry about, as all of the documents that are validated are real documents. So once the documents are updated, you have nothing to worry about.
Well, thank you for that, Miss Mary. That was so educating. So the school has to confirm the authenticity of the documents to IRCC usually. Thank you so much. So there is one last reason we should discuss today. The last reason we are going to be discussing today that affects most Canadian study applications will be discussed by Ms. Aderemi. Can you please enlighten us on what that reason is that we've not spoken about?
Another reason most Canadian study permits are often refused is as a result of incomplete application or missing documents. What do I mean by this? Some individuals apply for Canadian study permits, but they do not submit all the details required. As a result of this, the IRCC officials will not process the application. Instead, a written note or message will be sent requesting for the details that are missing. Some of the documents, the essential documents actually, which should not be omitted during every Canadian study permit application, are the following. The first one is a letter of acceptance, which is issued by the Canadian institution that you have been offered admission to study in. You also need your PAL, known as Provincial Attestation Letter. Another important document is a valid identification, which could be your international passport. You also need to submit a document that shows your proof of funds, that shows your financial capacity. To prove your funds, just as we mentioned earlier, you can submit your bank statements. You can also submit receipts of your tuition deposits in that Canadian institution you have been offered admission to study. Also, you should include a letter of explanation when you are making application for the Canadian study permit. As mentioned earlier, the letter of explanation tells the IRCC officials your goals, why you want to study in Canada, and it also helps them to understand that you understand your responsibilities as an international student in Canada. Lastly, if you will be staying in Canada for over 6 months, you need to submit a response for medical examination. Just as we mentioned, these are the essential documents that must be included, that must be submitted whenever you are making an application for a Canadian visa study permit.
Thank you, Ms. Aderemi. Thank you for that. Okay, but you mentioned letter of explanation. Of course, there's also a letter of motivation and everything. But what's the difference between SOP, statement of purpose, and letter of motivation?
All right, thank you for that question, ma. A statement of purpose and letter of motivation are the same thing. Both documents just explain your motivation, why you intend to study in Canada and why you intend to study that particular program. It also highlights your future goals. That's what both documents, so they are the same.
Thank you so much. That was a good one. Thank you to everyone that contributed in this video. Thank you, Eboluwa, for making it possible. Thank you,
very
Michael.
much,
it was a good time. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Aderemi.
You're welcome.
Okay, so that is why we advise and counsel that you give your Canadian study applications to experts, to people that have a track record of success, that have a license, that are traceable, and all those characteristics is what MPIK has to offer you. So let us help you, assist you, facilitate your Canadian study process, and yes, you'll be glad you engaged MPIK. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.